This is the Player 4 Podcast. Join us each week as we talk about video games, entertainment, and pop culture, and bring in guests from the Rooster Teeth community. Player 4 has entered the game.
We are the Player 4 Podcast. Yeah. Now, topping the charts is Alex. I can't say your last name, can I? You'll get mad if I say last names.
No, just your last name.
Oh, Alex Dunlap. Wait, that's not what you meant. So, it's the Player 4 Podcast? Hi, how's it going? That's great. I'm so happy.
I just wanted to make sure you were done with the intro. Hello, I am Tristan, a.k.a. Shagrazir, on the Rooster Teeth website.
I am Alex, a.k.a. Chaos Black 21.
Are you sure?
I am Malachi, a.k.a. Suki Kiba.
And I'm Joseph Dunlap.
And this is the Player 4 Podcast.
This is the karma for all the times that I pissed Joseph off.
It's true.
I'm cashing
Today,
it in.
We're going to talk about some stuff, like we do every week. This week, what are we going to do tonight, Pinky? We are going to talk about Reliving Vicariously for RVB Season 11 with Malachi.
By the way, it's
Hype
not
it.
pink. It's lightish red.
Yeah.
And then we're going to hit up some Hex trading card game with Joseph, who's been playing a lot of that.
CT.
And after that, we're going to let Alex tell us a little bit about the upcoming release of ReCore.
It already released.
Oh, we're going to let him tell us about ReCore that already released.
I think so, Brian, but me and Pee-Pee Longstocking, what would our kids look like?
Thanks, Pinky.
I mean, I wish that I could have gotten ReCore early and played it before everyone else, but I don't have that power.
Well, hey, you'll just be feeding wonderful information for the people that are thinking about it, and we're unsure.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm a little disappointed because my store got 2 copies. I got one the day it came out. The one that was still left is still there.
Oh, so people aren't that Anyway, we wanted to talk about Reliving Vicariously first, and we'll get to ReCore later.
Yes.
What is reliving vicariously?
You're, I don't know, wearing my shoes and watching it again? I don't know.
Wait. If we're supposed to wear your shoes, you haven't shipped any shoes to me yet.
I know, I need to.
What size do you wear? Let's see, I don't want my feet squished.
I wear 12s, 13s.
Okay, you're actually bigger than me.
In more ways than one.
Whoa.
No, that does not mean anything.
Okay, Malachi,
Whoa.
what is reliving vicariously?
So it's up to keep us on.
Good luck.
I was watching for the first time myself, Red vs. Blue Season 11, and describing what I saw or what I watched and how I felt, and you guys giving your feet in the parts that you enjoyed. So, I guess I'll start.
So where did Season 10 leave off?
Season 10 left off where everyone is now in a new location. And I don't know in the Halo franchise if that was the new Blood Gulch. That was the new name for the places they were in.
I mean, that is effectively the new Blood Gulch map.
Was it for
the...
the...
Okay. It's essentially, but it's not actually Blood Gulch. It's just, then what would it be for that map, for that game, Blood Gulch, but it's not.
The box canyon.
It's the new kind of box canyon that they had.
So yes, they were all crash landed there and now stranded there. And you see Church take off, and I forgot if he was talking to an AI.
You mean Carolina?
Yeah, that AI, Carolina.
No, he was with Carolina.
Yeah.
And he was in the AI.
Well, Church still
AI.
talks to the other fragments.
Yes.
Well, he talks to the memories of those fragments because that's what he has. The fragments aren't really actually there.
Oh.
It's his memory of them.
So Church left the new box canyon, and everyone is stuck there now. And that's where the season ended, and this season starts with the more original, back to the starting roots of Red vs. Blue, is just random shenanigans.
Random shenanigans.
All them random shenanigans.
And they do reference that, oh hey, this happened before.
I have a random question regarding what you're saying about that bridge between Season 10 and Season 11. What was the hook at the end of Season 10 that tied into the plot of this season?
I really can't think of what the hook would have been.
Church and Carolina left to go on a quest.
Oh yeah, they were hunting down the missing part or freelancer stuff that was left behind from the project.
And the rest of the guys were going to...
Don't remember. They were just all there in that box canyon.
Build bases.
They were going to build bases.
Oh, was it that simple? I didn't think that.
I thought you were asking like a location or something.
Sarge was hell-bent on having a red base so that he could continue fighting the Blues.
Yeah,
and Washington took up leadership of Blue Team.
Yep. So, through the course of the whole... I'm going to do kind of like a really short thing of it because of it being just
taking too long already,
stuff.
Oh my god.
So basically, there's a lot of random stuff. They're trying to survive there. The ship that they were on actually crashed there. It's just them trying to deal with survival, trying to get help, and then in the end, we get into the development of the new story, which is there's a civil war on the planet they were in. All the characters are from Freelancer are known as to be heroes by everyone else. And now they have been drawn into this conflict on this planet that's on the outskirts of colonization. That's where they're at right now with the story. Is the start of the new development of what's going on, and then just random shenanigans through the whole thing. A couple of my favorite parts of the series was Freckles.
Freckles!
I liked when Caboose got Freckles. And then Wash and Tucker accidentally nominated Caboose to be the leader. Freckles was like, all right, this is a unanimous decision. You were demoted. Shut up and listen to your commander.
Yeah, that was a good part.
Yeah, disobedience is punishable by death. So yeah, just the classic shenanigans with everything going on. Well,
did they try to contact someone with a emergency?
Yeah, they ended up fixing Sarge ended up building a new Lopez robot. And
Lopez 2.0.
I love those.
And they ended up getting a hold of our good old friend Donut, who ended up bringing Doc, and they let the ship leave when they could have rescued them. Another funny part was when Griff was like, well, why do we carry our weapons around all the time? Like, I like that obvious kind of like thing you ask yourself that they just brought it up in the series. He was talking to Simmons. He's like, well, just drop your gun. Well, I don't want to. You don't want to or you can't. And I forgot what he said to leave. And Simmons was like, I'm out of here.
Something I found funny about Season 11 was the cutbacks that showed that almost every single one of them was in some way or another responsible for the crash.
I didn't do it.
It wasn't me. I spilled my coffee.
No, it was soda. Griff's soda got spilt on the equipment.
But that's going to continue on too, because they didn't show everyone.
They showed 3. It was Griff with the soda and the equipment. It was Washington. He tripped over a wire or knocked a wire out of the equipment, and then Sarge was messing with the engine because he says an engine isn't supposed to be little and quiet. It's supposed to be loud and obnoxious. And that's actually why
more of them.
That's why they got to the outskirts, is because Sarge messed with the engine and it went farther than expected.
So, something you wanted to bring up and that you made sure we put in the notes for this episode was Basebook. You wanted to talk about Basebook.
Oh, now I remember Basebook.
Yes, Simmons, he got stuck on the blue team because he wanted to go there at first, but he got stuck there once Caboose was leader and Freckles forced him to stay. He realized that the ship had power, or that the blue team was using stuff from the ship. And he's like, got a bright idea in his head to make a computer or bring up online the internet. And Tucker's like, you guys need to leave for a moment. She's like, seriously, you do not want to be here. You're going to see stuff. He's like, no, it just connects the blue to the red base. I keep in touch with my friends. And it was kind of funny because Simmons had like the Google search with his name said Simmons with the multiple colors, and then Basebook, which was made so that he could communicate to Sarge and the others. And then that leads to later to where it was draining too much power and they couldn't charge up Freckles again when they were in the big fight because Donut was downloading a very high quality picture that was taking hours to download. So, and also some key points that happened in there is they met a new person called Felix who came to rescue them. He's a mercenary for the rebellion on the planet.
He
There's
seems like a pretty nice guy.
I like Felix.
and then there's Locust.
Yeah, Locust.
Is the enemy.
Ooh.
Is basically the Empire mercenary that the other group hired,
Go Felix.
and they raided the Box Canyon to try to apprehend the freelancer group. They were hoping the same thing that Felix was that these guys are renowned, very skilled people. So that led to them getting rescued by Felix. Wash and Sarge got captured by the basically Empire guys, and they now are with the rebels, and they need to save Sarge and Wash.
Interesting little tidbit about the battle scene you just described where they were getting rescued, where Freckles got shot up to bits.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to Nico's The Music of Red vs. Blue panel a few years ago, he actually demonstrated the difference that the score makes to a scene. That was his example scene, was the battle, and he had overdubbed different styles of music. So there was like sad music, there was hopeful music, there was the zealot music. And then he had the actual music he wrote for it, and we, as like the audience, we were kind of giving him feedback on how it made us feel listening to each of them. By far the funniest was the zealot music, because it actually made the whole scene seem humorous. That's actually something that you guys have experienced with how I've underscored scenes in P4Craft before. Whether I want people to think it's a funny scene, or like a tense scene, or, hey, look, it's Alex getting killed by monsters again.
Thanks.
Was there anything else?
Usually it's lava or drowning, not monsters.
Yeah, it's true. Alex doesn't want to feed himself, so he drowns. So was there anything else about Red vs. Blue?
Other than it seems like they are making them a little more skilled, but making the characters deny that they're any real hope for anything. Because it's funny, because they're like, oh, we were hoping you could do this. No, we can't. And then you see Tucker, because of Washington forcing him to do drills.
Did they get
Tucker's...
wait, is that did they have like Riff refusing to do drills in that season, or is that a different?
No, that's next season.
That's
I
12.
That's next,
Oh my
it's
god,
12.
that's
think
the
it's
best.
12.
Griff always refuses to do drills, though.
Drift refusing to do drills is one of my favorite parts of that season.
That is not how you practice that procedure.
Griff
Why
is
in the hell would you give someone CPR for a bullet wound in the head?
We're reliving vicariously now.
Yeah.
Hey, season 1 was pretty good.
It was. I kind of like season 4. Let me tell you why.
So we're done reliving vicariously. We're moving on.
Are we? Okay,
Oh,
I guess
yes.
we are.
another
Mommy Alex says we're done.
HTCG.
Alright, Hex trading card game. Go. Joseph.
Okay, so first off, it's on Steam, but it's not called Hex TCG, it's called Hex Shards of Fate. In fact, it may have changed names since then because a new expansion came out. So you're looking for Hex. It's a card game. And games online that have expansions like World of Warcraft, you'll tend to see a subtitle, which is the expansion. So actually, I don't think it's Shards of Fate anymore. Anyway, it's a trading card game based off of the rules of Magic the Gathering, but done entirely online in the style of an MMORPG, but it's an MMOTCG. So there's an auction house where you can sell and buy cards. There's equipment that upgrades your cards, but only in the context of playing against AI. And you're playing against real people, or you can play against just PvE. There's a competitive ranking system. Interesting little tidbit here is the fact that this game is made by pro players of Magic. For example, Chris Van Meter, who's a well-known Star City Games personality, is one of the guys that works on that game. And when you go through the tutorial, you actually are put in a situation where you could make the wrong choice, but you're not at the point where you're allowed to make choices yet. So they actually say, you could attack here, but your thing would not be able to kill the blocker, and the blocker wouldn't be able to kill your thing, so you don't gain anything. So just pass your turn. I'm like, that's kind of cool. It's telling you early on about things like that. Because you often see beginning players in Magic attack with their 2-2 and 2-1-3, and neither of them die. Because they base it off the rules of Magic, there was actually a lawsuit. Surprise!
No way.
The main thing they did was they kept the phases of the turn, and they kind of changed all the keywords, all the words that mean something as far as what cards do.
So there's no upkeep now?
Actually, there is no upkeep, although there are beginning of turn things that happen. You just don't get to do things during the upkeep. You can't play a card during the upkeep. But, like, haste is now speed, for example.
Walk mildly faster.
Meander is the cowpoke version.
You can't fly, you hover.
Yeah, exactly. Or jumping.
Right. They're not slivers, they're splinters.
Okay, Slivers is a creature type, and they actually have unique creature types. There's, like, evil bunnies, called the Shinhar.
Evil buns.
Oh yeah, evil bunnies are awesome. Anyway, the lawsuit, there was a result of the lawsuit where they came to an understanding. They settled out of court, and the official announcement from Wizards of the Coast, who makes Magic the Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons and other games like that, they said, we came to an arrangement where we can protect our intellectual property, but the company that makes Hex can still continue to make their quality game and progress in their direction. So I'm pretty sure it's simply give us money. Give us money, you can keep going. So as a result, they're able to flourish, kind of a competitor to Hearthstone in a way, although the rules of Magic, many people agree are just superior to the rules of Hearthstone. So this is the best of both worlds. There was recently a tournament at the end of the most recent expansion, right before the new one came out. It was at the end of the ranked season that you entered for free, could play from your computer in your computer chair in your pajamas, and there was a payout. There was actual money involved.
Give me money.
Wow.
So I would say if you like playing strategy games, doesn't matter what kind, if you like strategy, you should give Hex a try because it's free on Steam. Now, as far as money goes, there is in-game purchases that you don't have to do, just like Guild Wars 2.
So it's F2P with microtransaction?
Sort of, yes. Like, you can choose to do the microtransactions, but you can also just grind. And one great thing about the grind aspect is you win enough games, you get something. That's the best way I can describe it. So it's not like sitting there and just grinding for days on end for, like, one reward. If you go through an entire arena run, which is you versus boss after boss after boss, in groups of, like, 5, and if you complete all 20, you get a huge reward. If you don't, then you get small rewards. If you get, like, perfect tiers, like each 5 bosses, if you get a perfect on all of them, then you get a huge reward. So you get gold that way. But then I've been doing the competitive ladder recently, and I actually went through copper, through silver, and I'm at gold already, and I've only been doing the ladder for a few days. And each time you reach a certain rank within that tier, you get a reward. So just recently, today actually, I hit gold level, so I got 3,000 gold. Then I went up 2 ranks in gold, and I got 4,000 gold. And I got a pack, like a booster pack, like you would buy at the store and open. What I immediately sold on the auction house, got the last bit of platinum I needed to buy 2 more cards for my deck. So as far as, like, if you're a Magic player listening to this, wondering whether you should play it, consider the price of a Magic deck. Now consider the fact that a competitive deck in Hex would never go over $200. You could just straight up buy it right now for $200, as opposed to Magic decks that go way higher. So that is my ringing endorsement of Hex. Do you guys have any questions about Hex? The lore of it, the races, the gameplay, anything like that?
I do. I want to know all of the things you just listed, but start me with the lore and how does this differ from Magic the Gathering?
Okay, in Magic, you have all these fantasy worlds. And so each set is set in a different world, although sometimes a set will return to a previous world. Hex only has one world that it's based in. You have all these worlds in Magic that are just kind of generic fantasy in some way or another with a twist. There's like a Roman mythology world. We're about to get an Egyptian mythology world. We're about to get an Indian steampunk world, which is interesting and is actually proving to be one of the best it's ever made. In Hex, you have 2 factions, like World of Warcraft style, or even Guild Wars style. And then the, quote, good faction is humans and, like, the coyotes, which are, like, Native American-style coyotes. There's a few other, like, there's fairies, I think, and something else. I don't really play on that faction. On the bad guy side, the cool side.
Because you have cookies.
Yeah, because they have cookies. There's dwarves, which are actually evil in this world. There's orcs, evil bunnies. And the interesting thing about it is that they've created these two new races, the evil bunny race and the Native American let's smoke some illicit drugs in a teepee coyote race. No, really, there's a part of the story where you go on a teepee and then you go on a trip. and you
mean a spirit journey?
A spirit journey, and you fight like these 4 spirit aspects.
What, are you playing this, by the way, Alex? You keep making comments on a few things.
No.
The fun thing about evil bunnies is they're not necessarily competitive, but they have this society that's based around fertility because they're rabbits. Think Watership Down, but the bad ones. The especially fertile bunnies become they get a status in the society, and they're called concubunnies. No joke whatsoever. They are called concubunnies.
It seems like it's a really weird setting.
Well, it's varied. The dwarves are very artifact centric. They have these little warbots that travel with them, and so a lot of their gameplay is based around building up artifacts and getting rewarded for having them with other cards that say if you have an artifact, draw a card. So there's a lot of different types of gameplay. When you're doing the storyline, you get to choose between 3 classes: cleric, warrior, and I would assume sorcerer, I think. So it's kind of D&D-esque in that way. And that class aspect is actually something that pervades through the entire game. Have any of you guys played Hearthstone?
Yes.
No.
Okay, I remember Tristan, you used to play when I used to play. And
Still, we'll do a game every now and then.
Mm-hmm. So part of that, what made that unique, was the fact that you had a character that was playing the cards that had this unique ability that they could use once per turn.
The whole idea with Hearthstone was that it was like the heroes of the Warcraft universe sitting around a tavern and playing card games against each other.
Yeah, like named heroes, the ones that you find in Heroes of the Storm.
Right.
In Hex, you actually have the same thing. They're called champions, and they have an ability that for each resource you play, you build up a charge, and when you get a certain amount of charges, then you can use this ability. But you could wait if you wanted and wait for a turn where it would actually be more effective. So I'm currently playing a deck that has a bunch of burn spells. Direct damage, basically. That I don't have to attack with anything. I just cast the spell and you take damage. My champion, occasionally when I activate it, will increase each of those, for 1 turn, increase all of my spell damage by 1. So I just unload.
Then you can burn them by even more.
Mm-hmm, exactly. It amounts to an additional spell or 2.
Right, so it's a synergy. You synergize your spells, your monsters, with the champion you're playing as.
So you end up building not just based on color, and not just based off of a theme, like I want to be evil bunnies, but also based off the champion that you want to maximize the use of. As Tristan said, synergize.
So they kind of borrowed that from Hearthstone as opposed to the way Magic does it, which is just a deck.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a question in the sense is how's the interface? Everything seems pretty user-friendly. It runs really smooth.
Yes. Far superior than the 1998-esque client that is Magic the Gathering Online. Okay. And not ridden with bugs like Magic the Gathering Online. They fix things unlike Magic the Gathering Online. Do you see the pattern here?
I know that Magic the Gathering had a couple little version games that they had for the consoles also that I played. Does Hex have any other game modes other than the ones you mentioned? Like, is there something you can play with a friend to do, like cooperatively, or is it just one-on-one stuff, or versus AIs?
I don't know enough to answer that question, except I do know there are cards that refer to more than one player. There are cards that say deal damage to each opponent. So I would assume there are levels of gameplay where you can be cooperative with someone or play against more than one opponent. Maybe two-headed giant gameplay, I'm not sure. But
that's what I was wondering.
I do recall seeing things that deal with more than one opponent.
Okay.
Alright, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So someone picks up the game, they're just starting out. How viable is it that they would actually even be able to compete just starting out with on PvP format?
I actually would be able to tell them exactly what they needed to do in order to start doing competitive, what they call ladder, which is competitive PvP play within about 2 weeks.
So you advise against doing it if they go in right off the bat.
There's no penalty to starting off with PvP, but you need a deck, and you start off with the most basic cards. If you just spend 2 hours in the campaign doing a storyline, then you already have more cards than you started with. And what you do is you spend a little bit of time like looking towards a budget deck build that you see for the PvE arena, and you just build towards that by doing the same part of the same campaign over and over till you get 4 copies of a powerful card. I would be able to walk them through it, like Alex, if you get interested. I'll be able to walk you through what campaign do you do about 45 minutes of 4 times, and then build a deck full of aggressive creatures. They call them troops in this game. And then go to the arena and run the arena until you get a certain amount of gold, and then buy this real streamlined budget burn deck. And that's where you can start ladder, and that's what I'm currently doing, and that's why I'm zooming up to gold level so quickly.
Okay.
There is a grind. That's my answer.
Grindy. But it's better than paying money.
Oh, yeah.
Grind instead of paying money.
I mean, honestly, the deck I'm playing is only a $10 deck. I could have just paid for it, but I had the gold.
Cool. So that's Hex TCG.
Yes. Ringing endorsement. We are not getting paid for this.
Ding!
Yeah, right. And so refreshing, too. Hey, you blurred out my label.
Your face is...
Yes, your face is obscene. Hey, where'd my face go?
I can't see.
All right, so now we're going to get a ringing endorsement from Alex on something.
Yes, ReCore.
Core.
As opposed to the reviews that has been getting, which aren't as bad as what people have been telling me. It's been averaging about, I would say, a 7 around on most things. Metacritic gave it a 63. IGN gave it a 7.3, I think. And there are flaws in the game, but let's start off with a little bit of backstory.
Okay, because I'm interested in what ReCore is.
Yes, ReCore is I would call it a platformer with some combat mechanics involved and puzzles and exploring. Because it's funny, it's only $40. So right when I saw that price tag, I'm like, oh no, this is gonna be a small game. When you start playing it, you realize actually how big the game is compared to its price tag. That's something I like. It's mostly platforming in the sense that you gotta jump all over different places. You have to do these little tricks with your robots to get to certain places to get items and whatnot. But it's set in the future. Earth has been hit by this plague called the Dust Devil, and so humans have journeyed away from Earth to try to colonize a new planet called Far Eden, and they're using the help of these core bots that they invented. And essentially they're robots, all these different robots that use cores to power themselves, and they're supposed to help the humans terraform and build on this Far Eden to become their new Earth. However, your protagonist that you play ends up waking up after what she's supposed to have woken up from. She was supposed to wake up at some point. She didn't, and now she finally wakes up and sees everything is all messed up. Most of the core bots have turned on the humans and are like attack on sight. There's only a few core bots that actually stay loyal, and those are the ones that kind of are specifically tied to a human. Like you start out with a dog core bot companion, and I'm up to a spider core bot companion as well. There's 5 total that you can get. It starts you off, you have to do first 2 missions just straightforward, and then after that they're like, okay, here's this map, go explore it, do a whole bunch of dungeons, and try to, you don't have to necessarily do the story, but you can follow the story as well. So any questions up to this point?
So wait, you said you can do stories, so it's a bit open world even in the beginning?
After the first 2 missions, it's streamlined. Like you go through that. It's linear essentially, and that afterwards you can follow the story, but you can go off and explore. They do kind of cut back on your exploring in a sense, because to get into each dungeon, you need a certain amount of these special cores that they call prismatic cores. And if you don't have enough to get into that dungeon, well, you're out of luck. You have to go and find more. So they kind of cut off how much you can explore in a sense, and having to go back to the story to get more cores and be able to go to
other dungeons.
Well, that's good. That's how they control the environment with instead of just blank invisible walls. Oh, you can't go that way. It's more, oh, you just need this to proceed.
Yeah, and with their platforming mechanics, like the way that you can double jump and dash around with these kind of like jetpack boots, essentially. Like, there's so many places.
Roller skates?
Yeah, it's almost to the point where if you see a high ledge, you're like, there's some way I can get to there.
Okay. So you say all in all, you're really enjoying it so far?
Yes, I am really enjoying it. The combat, the platforming is the best part. Like I said, if you see a ledge, you're like, I can go and get up there somehow. And so the fun part is exploring how to get from one ledge to the next or get to some other place. The combat seems simple. All you have to do is zoom in and it locks on to whatever enemy, and you can switch between the enemies that you lock onto. But they add a little bit of complexity to it because each bot has a different core color and you have different color ammunition. And so you have to match the ammunition with the core color. And then you also have to use your companions to fight. Otherwise, you're not going to do as much damage as you could.
I imagine certain companions are better against certain enemies.
Yes, actually, that's twofold in the fact that you have to match their color, but also try to match the type, because type plays a big part. If there's like a hulking core bot that you're fighting, not necessarily, like, yeah, some of your smaller ones aren't going to do that well against them. Even if their core matches so that they can do damage like that, they're still not going to do as much damage as they could.
So the different colored cores can be put into the different robots? I thought that the different color core dictated which robot it was.
No, your robots are stuck with the core. Like, the dog is the blue.
Okay, so I was right.
Spider is yellow. Yeah, the only thing that you can change color-wise is your ammunition on your gun.
Oh, okay. And so you want to what you're saying is if you see a blue enemy core bot, you want to shove blue core ammo into your core gun.
Yes, and use your dog, unless your dog...
It's your blue core dog.
Yeah, unless like I said, a tank of a core bot is attacking you, and it doesn't do that well against it, and so then you kind of have to think, okay, maybe I should use a bigger bot that can hit that better.
Like a big old monkey bat.
That kind of confuses me, though, because didn't in the trailer she take it out of one bot and put it into another one because it got injured? She saved
I don't remember that. I remembered that all of her bots were always, like, the dog was always blue, is what I remembered.
So back, this is 2 E3s ago. This is when I first started getting excited about ReCore, because that's when they first showed it. They did just a trailer, no gameplay, just a CGI trailer. And yes, he did remember correctly. The dog got destroyed, but the core was still intact, and she put it into a bigger core bot.
But I missed that deal.
And now in the game, it's not like that. Your bots don't die; they get knocked out, but they'll end up coming back to life in a little while. But they all stay with the same core that they have.
Okay. I was just curious about that because I seen that, and I was like, could you switch it? Like, do you just find robot corpses and stick a core in it, or?
No, I think that might be one of the things that people are a little turned off by, is because of the original trailer. Like, oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome, just finding bigger robots and just shoving the core into that. But that's not the case in the actual game.
I have a question. Okay, so my question is, what type of game or game franchise is it most play-like? And I'm going to start off by saying it kind of sounds a lot like Mass Effect, because you have a companion. Not only
it's the original Prince of Persia, because it's a platformer.
Sure, but you also have particular types of ammo in the Mass Effect trilogy. So you would be playing against, like, shielded troops, and you would switch over to your, what was it, like the EMP-style rounds that could break away the shields, or you could switch to the freezing rounds, or you could have a companion. You could upgrade a companion's ammo so that everyone could have that type of ammo, and then you would switch ammo to match the situation. But in this case, it's like, this is the color you want. Now, it's interesting, before you answer the question, that the dog being blue is good against blue, because wouldn't the dog then take more damage?
They don't say that the dog would take more damage. They really harp on the fact that you want to match colors as much as possible, except for the times where the type of Corebot beats out your Corebot companion, like the tank versus the dog, which isn't very good against it.
I was thinking like, oh, my dog is good against this color, and so it's almost Pokemon-ish, but in this case, it's just match the colors. I want to know from you, Alex, what does this feel like? Does it feel like any other games you've played?
Now that you mention it, I can see the similarities to Mass Effect. It's made by the creator of Metroid Prime, so I think it might take some characteristics of that, but I've never played Metroid Prime, so I don't know for
Prime
sure.
Mother M or the original Metroid Prime?
It said Metroid Prime.
Probably the first series.
From Keiji Inafune.
Ninja Theory.
Inafune, the makers of Metroid Prime.
Okay, so but you're having fun.
Yes.
Okay.
I would say it's not the most complex game, but it's fun. It's challenging, but not overwhelming. It does well what a lot of, I guess, platformers, like 3D platformers nowadays, don't always get right, and I believe that ReCore does it right.
So you would recommend, if someone was interested in it, to get it?
I would recommend it, and I was reading the IGN review, and the guy who did the review for that recommends it. The bad things about it, and I will agree with him that it has some... the load times going from one area to another can be a little longer than what you would expect, and I think that goes with the fact of how the size of the map compared to what you would think it would be game-wise. It's pretty big, pretty expansive. There's some traveling in between dungeons, but luckily at each dungeon there is a fast travel thing so that you can get to it later. You don't have to travel to it again. It can get a little laggy, maybe I would say. Like, the graphics can get a little laggy sometimes.
But is this an Alex-approved game is the point, I think? Would you say yes or no?
Yes, I would approve it. I definitely think that people should at least try it out. It's a good game.
There you go. Alex approved.
All right. So is that the end of our show today, geez?
That's the end of the show. Oh, time to go.
Yay!
Joseph! No!
What happened?
You're happy to say goodbye to our loving audience?
No, I think it was... I'm saying yay because I enjoyed the talk. I enjoyed talking Red versus Blue. I enjoyed the 2 game reviews that we did. And I think our listeners might enjoy either Hex for like number-based strategy or ReCore for platformer-based strategy.
I was concerned that you were excited.
No, I was excited about the end of a good episode.
I'm excited to be done.
Yay!
So
I can leave.
You guys' voices. Ugh.
Alex doesn't like us either.
He doesn't like listening to our sexy voices.
Oh, God.
Because I don't have a sexy voice.
Another player for midnight snack.
It's not a midnight snack.
It's like 9:30 for me. It's close enough.
Yeah, okay. When we get old like this, 9:30 feels like midnight.
Yeah.
In fact,
And
so
we're all
does
going to go to Golden Corral together, right?
5 in the afternoon feels like midnight. Noon feels like midnight. 8 in the morning feels like midnight.
8 in the morning feels like I'm going back to bed.
Yeah.
This is my life as a teacher these days. I had a student complaining about 8 in the morning. I was like, look around you. 23 other students and myself all going through the same thing you are going through, and you're the one complaining.
Shut up and take my lesson.
Yeah, shut up and take my money. Shut up and end the episode.
Hashtag goodbye.
Good night.
Good night.
Goodbye.
You made us wait for that one. We are the player for Dookie Kibas. Yeah.
We talk about things.
We talk about dookies.
Lots of other dookies.